to Navy, the first one. Lost McMahon all the way back in his own 46, throwing for the end zone. Receivers are there, defenders are there. It is in the end zone. Who has the ball?
One of the great moments in BYU's bowl history, that amazing come-from-behind win against SMU. We're going to check out more bowl memories in just a moment. Welcome back to our BYUtv Sports Special. Football analyst Blaine Fowler and the radio voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell, joining us in studio. All right, we've waited all year for bowl week. It's finally here. What kind of game do you think we'll see on Friday?
Well, if history's any indicator, Tulsa and BYU are going to score a lot of points. When they get together, they almost always put up something in the 30s or 40s, and they've had some great games in recent memory. And I look at the way both teams are playing right now, and there are a lot of similarities between how these teams play offense and defense. And I think both have balance as a pretty strong byword right now. BYU lost to, generally speaking, good teams this year. And Tulsa, too, lost to great teams this year. And so I think both teams yet, while having lost to games to quality opponents, are lacking that marquee win that they had chances at throughout the season but never could quite secure. And so I think in this bowl game you find a chance for both BYU and Tulsa to get that maybe signature win they were looking for throughout the season.
Let's play off the similarities, Blaine, and start with quarterback. We all know Riley Nelson and what he brings. Tulsa's quarterback seems to mirror Riley a bit.
Yeah, Kenny is a guy that's a dual threat, much like Riley Nelson. They involve him in the run game where they have some called runs from him. They run zone read. They run some option with him. He's also very good at avoiding a pass rush and making big plays with his feet. So the quarterback position will be very similar, both very productive, both the focal point of these two offenses. And BYU's offense changed dramatically when Riley Nelson came on the scene in that Utah State game. It changed the whole complexion of what you have to do to prepare. Teams that are preparing for Tulsa have to prepare the same way that you do for BYU, a guy that can really hurt you with his feet. So it'll be an exciting matchup, two teams that can score.
Well, Greg, you're over in Hawaii as BYU played kind of the spread offense. The speed of the linebacking core seems to be such a key for the Cougar D against an offense like this.
And what BYU's been able to do is utilize that depth that we said coming into the season would be a big factor. We didn't know how big a factor it would be with the late season injuries, people like Jordan Pendleton and then Austin Jorgensen losing a deeper backer. BYU needed everyone they had there, I think, at linebacker, and what they have shown is that really, I almost think of that fourth backer as the fourth lineman in a way. They always play him at the line, and the one thing that they've been able to do consistently is provide just enough versatility to keep teams guessing as to which one is coming on any given down.
And Blaine, the Golden Hurricane runs some running backs and wide receivers that are very skilled, and it seems like there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, when you're preparing for Tulsa, you don't prepare for any one person other than to stop the quarterback. They'll have two sophomore running backs that will play in the game, both with over 800 yards. They have 5 receivers that have 27 catches or more. So the ball is spread out in this offense. And one thing that Tulsa teams always have is team speed. They recruit down in the South, and get a lot of speed players. And the speed at linebacker for BYU will be really important for them to be able to get to the edges, because Tulsa will attack you in every manner possible to try to expose a weakness. And when you have backers that can run from side to sideline, especially outside backers that can get back and defend the pass, guys that can come up and support the run, you're in pretty good shape. I like BYU's ability to defend this offense.
Different coordinators now, but the last time they played Tulsa, I think Bronco in the aftermath said, we had no idea what they were doing. It took them such a long time to figure it out. And I think that's maybe it's still stayed a hallmark of Tulsa's team is the different ways they will attack you.
Tulsa averages 34 points a game. BYU averages just over 30. What does the Golden Hurricane defense do to contend with the Cougars?
Well, I'm excited to see defensively a player named Cornelius Arnick. Anyone that has 142 tackles in a season is a pretty special player. And Blaine, you've seen a lot of these guys on film. And what is it that he does that puts him in the place to succeed so frequently?
Well, he's got a big-time motor, and he's extremely fast from sideline to sideline. So you'll see him make a tackle on the left sideline on one play, on the right sideline on the next play, and he just never takes a play off. And this is a guy, he had 18 tackles against Oklahoma. That's a pretty good football team. Yeah. He had 18 tackles against Boise State. That's a pretty good football team. And this Tulsa defense, he's made a lot of tackles, but they've had a tendency to give up points against good teams. When the 4 losses they have are against, now get this, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Boise State, and Houston. All 4 of those teams can throw it all over the place. So if there is a weakness on this team, did throw it for a lot of yards and scored a lot of points. Tulsa was able to score on those teams, but I think that if there's a weakness, you can throw the football on this team. And we may see a more traditional Riley Nelson. It's a very sound run defense, and Arnett will go and defend that run. But if you're going to attack this Tulsa defense, you can do it through the air. We may see Riley Nelson looking more like he did in the Hawaii game, where he's dropping back and hitting those big receivers on the outside and taking advantage of maybe the weakness of this Tulsa defense.
If there is one defensive disparity between BYU and Tulsa, it is that the Hurricane allow a lot more yards through the air. BYU, one of the best teams defensively against the pass, and Tulsa one of the more generous. And so Riley, 363 yards against Hawaii. You may need to see that Riley Nelson appear in the bowl game.
Okay, on the spot now, 2 keys from each of you that leads to a BYU win on Friday.
You want to start, or you want me to go first?
Okay, I'll take the 2 easy ones, and I'll leave them with the hard ones.
Okay.
I'll pick turnover margin, and then I'll say balance with a 100-yard run game. For Bronco Mendenhall's teams, those 2 keys have been as important as anything. Winning the margin and making sure you're running the football well. And even just a modest 100 is usually enough for BYU to show we're balanced enough to win a football game. If I could say 2.5, I'd say BYU's been a field position team too this year. When they've won field position, they've won football games.
When they've played Tulsa in the past, special teams have been a big part of the success or failure of BYU in those situations. So I think they have to not allow big plays in the special teams game. And Tulsa's got team speed. So if they can make Tulsa drive the field, 10, 12-play drives. If they're going to score, make it a 10, 12-play drive, because they're likely to make a mistake if they got to drive it. So no big plays over the top for BYU's defense, contain Tulsa. And then I think BYU needs to protect the quarterback. I think there's some plays in the throw game. BYU has some big plays that they can make, but they got to protect Riley Nelson from that pass rush. If they can do that, I think BYU's going to be in good shape.
Okay, we'll see both of you live on Countdown to Kickoff Friday morning from Dallas.
We'll be there.
Well done, Greg, Blaine, thank you.